Hey guys, welcome to the 1UP Weekly Live Jam. What is going on, guys? You're like, what is this? This isn't the 1UP Weekly? What channel did I tune to? Is this just the Console Kits live stream? But check this out, guys. So, Ralph, I don't know if he's going to be able to make it, but here's what's going on. He made a really cool trip. I think he's going to be talking about this on Coffee Talk. So if you have not subscribed to Retro Ralph Live, you need to do that, because I think we're going to have to hear the whole story of what's going on. But I can give you a little piece of it. Today, Ralph had the day off. So he has a couple cabinets and he was going to go visit some people. Won't give the whole story away. And he picked up a couple cabinets, and his plan was to make it back to his house in time for the 1UP Weekly. That was the plan. And he rented a U-Haul and all of this, but he had an accident. Like, it's okay, not a car accident. He strapped in the arcades, but one of them fell over. Now, you know Ralph, he is all about restoring cabs and making sure they stay in the pristine condition like they were, trying to restore life into a cabinet. And I think he's done so much positivity, in his restoration projects. This is the one that slipped. This is the one where he says, like, he may not be able to salvage this one. Like, the cabinet fell over and cracked. And so I sent him the link to the live stream, and maybe he can join and tell us the story. But that's what's going on. And I told him, like, hey, I might go live anyway just to tell him what's going on, because this is kind of interesting. It's a little sad, It was a cabinet that he was planning on doing a restoration on. I don't know the exact condition of it. I think the condition was bad enough that it was going to be like it was already modded to a different title, and then he was gonna make it a different cabinet. But that's the story, and that's why Ralph can't make it. We were talking about shifting the schedule to another time in the day, and I was like, let me just go live. I'll go live for a little bit, and we'll talk about it. Thank you so much. How to Bachelor says he has to poop. So there you go. You got the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. And yes, Zohar, that is right. I am the Lizard King. So thank you so much for catching that. It's so true. And John Rodriguez, thank you so much for becoming a member of the 1UP Weekly. So let's do a quick little topic. And I do have the tool set up. I'm looking for the keyword Simpsons. I thought maybe we would talk about that just for a little bit. And so basically, I'd love to hear what you think about, the new leaks about the Simpsons cabinet. I'm going to tell you what I think about it, and I'm going to tell you a conversation that I had with Ralph today while he was on his trip. We were kind of talking about the show, and we had a couple different ideas, but there was going to be a let's talk about the games, the actual games about the E3 leak from Arcade1up. Are they any good? Is this something that you'd be willing to buy? And of course, we always talk about, like, the monitor quality. It's a 4-player, 2-player. What about those joysticks? What about those buttons? And there's a lot of variety to the aesthetics or to the actual, hardware that they use that can help you make the choice. But when it comes down to it, the game is so important. If this is a game that you didn't really enjoy playing when you were younger, if this is a game that you don't really want to show your kids, why would you buy it? So the Simpsons cabinet, for me, is one that I don't know if it has the replayability. Some of those beat-em-up games don't have it. But let me paint a picture, and this is a little bit of what Ralph was saying. He was thinking that the thing that's going to make the Simpsons cabinet from Arcade1up really stand out, the thing that everyone needs to if there's going to be any hope for it, it's going to be the bowling game. And so this is footage here of the bowling game that I was going to show. And so the idea of taking a 4-player cabinet, and you have, the Simpsons bowling, imagine playing that with your family, setting up as a 4-player, and you take turns doing bowling. Now, if you're super fans of The Simpsons and you add on, you're going to play these bowling games with your family, that could really be something that you really enjoy. And so also, Simpsons, of course, has been, a popular brand for a really long time. Marge, Lisa, Maggie and Marge and Barton, all the voices and all the stories and everything they've ever done is probably something that people really enjoy. So I remember talking to John D. Let's just say a game similar to this. And my question was, could you really run this game? Is this a game that you can run on the embedded systems of the Arcade1up? And he assured me that a game just like this would run just fine. They're using an all-winner H5, I believe, is the chipset planned for this. And it does really well in the GPU era. So you can actually get games that were made in the late 90s to perform pretty well. And so for a 4-player game like The Simpsons, this may actually be a really interesting game because the leaks show that the Simpsons cabinet has a trackball. So you could play this bowling game. I'm curious of whether or not those buttons, the buttons and sticks near the trackball, are going to get in the way. Is it going to be too crowded, or will it actually be fun to play the Simpsons bowling? The other question I have is the Simpsons bowling with the trackball. What about that screen? The Golden Tee had the screen lean back, so you could kind of spin and your hand can kind of continue going, right? But I don't know, maybe a bowling game doesn't require that type of spin move because according to the leaks, it doesn't look like the screen is leaned back. So maybe it's just a small spin. Now, this is a game that I don't remember playing. I don't remember playing the Simpsons bowling game, but I do know I do love video game bowling games. Those are a lot of fun. Out of all the sports games that are out there, I actually do enjoy them, especially like Wii Sports. The Wii Sports bowling is something I recall playing with my family and really enjoying. So if you're owner of Arcade1ups, The Simpsons could be for you if you focus on The Simpsons bowling. The arcade game, of course, is also, it's fun, but I don't think it's as fun as the other games. Now, the other title that have said to be a part of that leak is a Simpsons Tapper. So it's actually the game Tapper, but branded for The Simpsons. So it's like Moe's Tavern type of thing. And so if you like the Tapper game, it is said that you'll be able to get the Tapper game on the Simpsons cabinet, but it'll be, it'll have the modifications for the Simpsons brand. And then, of course, the main title is The Simpsons itself. So what do you guys think? Let's take a look at the chat and see what you have to say about The Simpsons. And we're going to open it up to the audience here. And T1000 says that he can't wait for The Simpsons. Let me make this a little bigger. And then Adam12, he says, I've never played the Simpsons game in the arcade, but I couldn't guess. But Dan, on the other hand, thinks that the Simpsons bowling is meh. And I could get that. I could understand your point of view. And King Kong says, Simpsons, I would pay $1,000 for the Simpsons and the X-Men cabinet. That's really interesting. So there's this common thing that people have been talking about when it comes to the Simpsons and a Konami beat-em-up cabinet. There's a difference between Arcade1up skulls and what the customer wants. And unfortunately, I have to say that those two things are not necessarily aligned. I wish they were aligned. As an example, this idea of could we get Sunset Riders on the Simpsons cabinet? Just don't think it's going to happen. Arcade1up is going to make these theme-based games because they don't have to split the royalties between the different companies and the different IP properties. So you're going to get a Turtles cab with Turtle games in it, and you're going to get the Simpsons with Simpsons games on it. And it may be a long time before we ever get a mashup between it. I think it could happen eventually, maybe really far down the line, but I'm not really sure if we'll ever actually get it. So let's see. But Renee Gamer Jr., he says The Simpsons is for his son. So that's cool. It's a family game, and I think the family will really enjoy it. Endangered Dog is talking about how The Simpsons is such a classic, and I agree to that. There's a lot of people that recall playing The Simpsons arcade. I do remember playing that Simpsons arcade game a lot in the arcade, and it was something that was very, very enjoyable. And so that's a cabinet that could be interesting. And so the Simpsons limited edition rumor, just heard it here first. There you go. So eventually maybe they'll come up with a different one. And Michael B, the James Gamey, says, let's face it, guys. We're lucky this didn't have Bart versus the Space Mutant on it. Now, we don't know for sure. John has said before that console games is something that they've considered adding as an Easter egg. And personally, I figure if they're just going to throw it in, why not? If it's something you have to go into the menu and unlock, why not? Why not do that? Some people will say, no. You can't have a console game on it at all. So let's ask that real quick. We're gonna field a 0 and 1 poll to the audience real quick here. Hit 0 if you're like, nope. You cannot have console games on your arcade cabinet. Type in 1 if you're like, it's okay. It's okay to have console games on your arcade. And let's see what turns out here. And Andrew says, thank you for the super chat. He says, The Simpsons has been on my radar since the start of Arcade1up. I can't wait until it releases. Yeah, so there are a lot of people out there that are really excited about the Simpsons cabinet. And for that, I'm really glad that those people are going to be able to get the cabinet that they really want. I could be surprised I may end up getting it. I've talked about before about my game room is constantly changing, and so the room for a 4-player may or may not be something that I will do or not do. I'm not really sure. Okay. So what I'd like to do now, instead of guiding... so it looks like, real quick on that poll, the poll was like, it's kind of split. It looks like it's kind of split. It's more people, just a slightly bit more people in the audience were saying that it's okay. And other people like, nope. What I would like to do now is we're gonna do a filter in the audience. I'm gonna type in the word topic, and to kind of keep things on point. I'm curious what topics you want to talk about, just for a couple more minutes, and maybe Ethy, while we keep in this theme. So anyway, like I was saying, type in the word topic in the chat, and we'll cover some of those topics and go through it. And I'll filter for the topic. So one of the things that I'm interested in, I still think about of all the E3 leaks, I keep on thinking about it daily. Like when the Arcade1up cabinet, the Big Blue is announced, the details on the Big Blue are going to make it or break it for me. I really like the idea of a fuller size cabinet. And if I was to buy one, which one would it be? And Ralph said something pretty interesting. This is what Ralph would have said if he was on here. He'd have been like, hey guys, so the thing about, I can't do his voice, but the thing about the Arcade1up cabinets, I would only buy a new Arcade1up cabinet if that's an Arcade1up cabinet. I'm sorry, if that was an arcade cabinet that I would actually buy. See, the Street Fighter cabinet is a cabinet that I actually own. So therefore, I would actually buy the cabinet, the Arcade1up version, because I own the original. And I'd be like, hey, Ralph, that's an interesting point. So what you're saying is, if the cabinet is something that you wouldn't buy as a full-size arcade, then you're saying you wouldn't actually buy the Arcade1up version. And he'd say, that's right. And I'd say, so let's go through the arcade cabinets that you do own. So we got T2. So if they came out with a Terminator 2 Arcade1up cabinet, you would buy it. And he'd go, yep. That's what he would say. Like, oh, that's interesting. If they came out with a Neo Geo, he's like, well, the MVSX. I'm like, okay, cool. Got it. If they came out with a Street Fighter, yup, I'd totally buy it. I'd say, Ralph, that's an interesting point. Now, would you actually buy a real track and field? And Ralph would say, no, I don't really like that game. I mean, the whole ruler thing and you can cheat, that's kind of fun, but that's not a game that really appealed to me when I was a kid. I'm like, okay, so would you buy the Arcade1up version? No, I wouldn't buy the Arcade1up version either. See, if I wouldn't buy the real cabinet, I wouldn't buy the toy cabinet. You're like, man, that's kind of mean, Ralph, that you're calling them toys. Well, it just is what it is. I mean, it's not a full-size cabinet. It's a smaller cabinet. So what word are we supposed to use? And I would say, well, you know, a lot of people think that toy is kind of demeaning. And he'd say, well, I don't see it that way. I mean, the big size arcade is a toy too. I mean, the fact that you bring it into your house, it's a toy. Like, yeah, but a lot of people don't really like when you call the Arcade1up cabinet a toy. And then Ralph would go, but I don't care about those people's feelings. And I'd be like, whoa, man, what, you're really like going to offend the audience here. He's like, can we just get back to talking about the games? And I'd be like, okay, let's talk about the games. All right, there you go. So the topics are topic Tron from Pontiac Joe. Now, this is another game that, here's the thing. Tron is such a legendary cabinet. It's a legendary cabinet. It's, you know, it's iconic, right? So the local arcade near my house has an original Tron, and it's like glowing. It's like as you walk through the arcade, it's like this shining center of it, you know, and it has all these reflective materials on the inside for the artwork that's like glowing against the different lights, and it just looks beautiful. But then I started playing it, and I'm just like, I don't understand this game. It's just not my game. I think maybe, see, Tron nostalgic. That's what we're talking about with Tron. So I think, for me, I don't know if I would buy the Arcade1up Tron, because although I think the Tron looks really cool, I don't know if I really like the game Tron. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I just suck at the game and I never like took the time to try to figure it out. And then when I was a kid, I was like, always thought the Tron arcade was supposed to be just like the movie, and I was always disappointed that the graphics weren't as good as the movie. That's just me. I'm kind of dumb when it comes to that. Mitchell, not a Game Genie B, just says we should have a topic called Topic. Okay, Hollywood Polo says Arcade1up the Rachel board. Wait a second, Arcade1up Rachel board? What are you talking about? He's saying that we need a Rachel board? So it's something about you need to have two wives or something like that? Is that how a Rachel board works? Like a Rachel board is like two wives? Like it's polygamy? That's how it works? Is the Rachel, there's two wives? And PK totally came up with that name because he's extremely studied Western culture so much. Anyway, so Arcade1up Rachel board. I think he's talking about like, what if Arcade1up came out with an official geek worm? The ability to be able to output HDMI in all of their cabinets. That's a really cool idea. I wonder if that is what they will do. Rainwater Game says, today's topic, latest Arcade1up email leak and hint. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, Noah Seitz. And this guy does really good artwork. Noah Seitz, he has he did the one on Reddit. It's all over. That's the, what is that? Time, I'm forgetting it. Time Crisis 3, I think is what he did. Topic, where is the new Golden Teen Incredible Technologies cabinet? That's a good topic. It is something that maybe they are doing, and I've said this on my personal channel, and that is Arcade1up has these leaks out there. And all of the leaks so far are interceptions of information between the retailer and distributors. So any of the leaks that you've heard about, like your track and field, you know, your Arcade1up, Simpsons, most of those, all the countercades, most of those are like probably going to end up at GameStop. It's going through the Kokum distributor. And then there's the Street Fighter Big Blue cabinet, I think is a different enough design. And maybe it has a different Wi-Fi that I think they had to go through some certifications and they had to go through some technology validations. And some of those companies have already reported the results of those tests. And so the Big Blue information is kind of out there. But that's because it's a new product, I think. So Golden Tee is not a new product, and maybe Golden Tee is coming out, but maybe Golden Tee is not coming to those distributors. So maybe we will see a Golden Tee. Maybe, but it will be direct to consumer. And if it's direct to consumer, it wouldn't be a part of the leak. Kind of like your Dragon's Lair and your Space Ace. Those are said to be direct to consumer first. They always reserve the right to resell to a retailer. But a cabinet like that is something that maybe a retailer wouldn't be interested in getting. So LJ Katz says, these are the retail announcements that have leaked. What about the things earlier in the life cycle? That's a good point. Things earlier in the life cycle for Arcade1up, I think the leaks that we're hearing about, a lot of them are coming out later this year. Many of them are. But things like X-Men, maybe they just knew they were ready to be announced at CES. And then E3 is typically, or the summer of gaming, is when they follow up. That's when they follow up on more announcements. We'll get some of those, debut and shipped by summer, like we did with the Legacy. But a lot of them will come into the fall and to the winter time, like towards the end of the year. So we'll probably see, X-Men in September, along with maybe even some of the announcements from E3. So I think they reserved some of the announcements for the E3 or summer gaming timeframe. And they could have announced it at CES, but they kind of wanted to spread out the information to kind of generate some hype here, generate some hype there, or maybe they're just still, in the product development. Topic, what quality upgrades will the Pro line include? Great question. I wish I knew. I hope that it has, I hope they fool us all. They trick us all and we're like, we're going to do high quality buttons and high quality joysticks. But I just don't know. I really hope they do. I mean, I think a lot of people do. Topic, surprise Arcade1up announcement that isn't leaked. I think they're all out. Yeah. John D on a milk carton. I know, right? Where is John D? Let's see. Justin, why not have the fake Scott Baccarat co-host? Because then he would be the host of the show. Because I can't play both parts, right? Hollywood Polo, he's saying, guys, did you see me on the Retro Buzz? Get it out there, come on. 8-Bit Brian's like, I love Justin's hand movements while talking. They're like next level with the wizard's hat. Okay. Michael B's like, didn't they do their announcements like last week or something? So MTM says, topic, new At Games pinball machine coming. So I personally have an At Games pinball machine coming. When is it? Tuesday, maybe? Don't tell my wife. And Ralph already has his, and we've been talking about it a lot. So I think it's I'm really, really excited about it. Pontiac Joe brings up the topic of the Dragon's Lair. So I think Dragon's Lair is still coming out, but I think it's going to be a direct-to-consumer cabinet. Topic, Unico announcement and larger cabinets. So yeah, Unico has a number of announcements that are coming out this year. I think they're pretty exciting. I think I don't think they're coming out with a larger cabinet. Maybe it's slightly taller, but I don't think it's bigger. And I think they're still testing the market before they push on the accelerator. Topics, riser for babycades for where the kids start growing. Well, I think John, or I think Zach, what am I saying, Zach? Scott Backrat's already got it figured out. He's like, look, this is how Ralph would put it. Ralph would say, because Ralph's not here right now, but this is the One-Up Weekly, so I'm going to have to play both roles. So Ralph would be like, hey, this is Scott Baccarat here, and I'm going to be talking about the Babycade. Oh my God, why do I all of a sudden sound like Trump? Because every single time Ralph does a voice, it kind of sounds like Trump. So anyway, the Scott Baccarat would say something like this: the Babycade is amazing, and when the kid grows up, you just get a 3/4 size, And then when, by the way, I'm on purpose doing a really poor Trump impression, but I'm actually just making fun of Ralph doing that impression. I personally am not trying to make a political statement by doing that. I'm literally just trying to make fun of Ralph as best I can. Because he has the contest right now. Do you guys know? Put a 1 in the chat real quick. Do you guys know about Retro Ralph's contest? So someone in the chat, tell me what Retro Ralph's contest is right now. What is he giving away? Put it in the chat. What is Retro Ralph giving away, and what are the rules? So the Fist of Love says Impressionception, and we got a whole bunch of 1s. And yeah, but then MTM says the topic, I thought At Games is supposed to be coming out with a whole new design pinball machine at the end of the year that you can play any pinball game on. Is that happening? Because I just spent a whole bunch of money on their other version. That's going to be interesting. So, but 8-Bit Brian says it's all deep fake. Scott doesn't even exist. It was Justin all along. The fake Scott on the show is just to throw us off the scent. Dude, you're so right. But I'm trying to figure out if anyone has figured it out. So Zen says Xbox Series X to make an impression for him for 30 seconds. So Retro Ralph has a contest. And I don't know the details, but you got to get your impressions out there of Retro Ralph. He will then randomly pick a winner. Don't hold me to it on these details. But the idea is the winner gets an Xbox Series X. That's what he's giving away. So do your best Retro Ralph, and he would love that. And then some great impressionist is going to win an Xbox Series X. So plug there. And topic iArcade. Yeah, so I have an iArcade. I think I'll be covering that a little bit more. And me personally, I'll be seeing that, and it'll probably be a topic that we talk about on One Up Weekly as well. Zero Hero says topic turtles and time for $5.99 for a cabinet. A year ago, they sold for $3.99. Yeah, that's interesting. I heard the prices are going up for a lot of. This is what Retro Ralph told me today. He said even at his company, some of the hardware that they're trying to acquire, they do it at very large scales. But on items that are not in large scale, the prices are going up for a lot of silicon devices, but also wood, also packing. I heard it from one of the other manufacturers as well in home arcade that there is also a struggle for their device, and one of their devices is likely to go up in price, and they're trying to figure out ways to, when this new version of the cabinet, offer more features. They can make probably deals on the licensings, try to provide a little bit more in the software to kind of cover the cost of the increasing cost of hardware. But Art Davison says, topic, new shooter, racing and pinball Gen 2. Ralph and I have often talked about this topic, and we really do love, Arcade1up, At Games, iArcade, to all of them to try to provide variety for your game room. I think a lot of the super fans out there, they really enjoy having, some type of light gun, shooter system, racing car, pinball. All of that is going to provide diversity in your game room. And so I don't know if we're going to see a new shooter from Arcade1up. It's not part of the leaks. And a lot of people have agreed that it looks like it might not be for this year. Topic, number of cabinets for E3 that haven't been leaked yet. I don't know, maybe 2? I'm guessing. I don't think I actually know of anything definitive that they were planning to come out with that isn't already publicly out. I can't remember. I mean, they publicly hinted at NFL Blitz, but that may be till later. And Simpsons was a big hint that they kept on teasing on previous shows, but that's out. Legacy was hinted. Even the Babycades were hinted. John T specifically said we're building a really small cabinet for kids. And I didn't even catch it. I had to go back and watch it. I'm like, dude, he said the Babycade was coming out. Like, 6 months ago. It was like, and we all were like, yeah, get out of town. He's like, no, seriously. So John D, like a lot of times he would say things that were like, we thought he was trolling, but he was straight up telling the truth. It took all this time to figure it out. Topic. This is the wave I tell my wife. Final. I'll cut back for now. Yeah, that's true. How many invisible people are too many invisible people to have a conversation with Arcades about? It's really funny. All right, guys. So thank you so much. That's all the time I really have for today because Ralph is not here. I'm not going to go a full hour show. I'm only going to give you a 30-minute show, and I apologize. We may go live at any given moment to be able to tell the story of why Retro Ralph is not here. There's an accident. He's okay, but one of the arcades that he got is not okay. And I'm sure that'll be something that will be interesting to talk about. We'll either do it here on the 1UP Weekly or Retro Ralph will cover it on his Retro Ralph Live. So real quick, hit a like before on your way out. Hit subscribe. Make sure you have notifications turned on because sometimes we go live anytime we want. And in the next couple days, we may do that. We're planning on doing a live stream on Monday, and you really, really don't want to miss out on that live stream. So that's all the time. Wait, I can't say my line. I got to say the 1UP Weekly line, right? What is it? And we'll see you on the next one. And then Ralph says, take care, guys. And I wave. This feels so wrong doing the show without Ralph. Take care, guys.